Brilliant. That's carried. Number 17, Sean. Huh? Pauline wanted division.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councillors. We'll take the report as read, but just a couple of highlights that we'd like to bring out. On the governance side, first of all, we'd just like to reflect that all statutory and most of the level of service targets are on track to be met. The only level of service and governance that won't be met this term relates to the number of meetings supported over the term, or over the year, I should say. That's not a reflection of staff not supporting meetings, it's a reflection of a reduction in meeting numbers overall. The level of service for that will be adjusted accordingly next year. The organisation has also managed to work through a large backlog of the open actions from elected member meetings. In the last quarter, around or just over 500 were closed off by staff. And just a final note from me, I'll be back on the 19th to brief you on an update to do with the transparency in the voting tool as per the resolution from the draft annual plan back in February. I'll hand over to Sean now.
Thank you, Matt. Again, just quickly, just to give you sort of an overview of some of the current trends, we are experiencing still a consistently high number of requests across the organisation. We've already hit last full year's Lagoima numbers in the first 3 quarters of this year, so we're running at unprecedented numbers there. And also 2 elected member queries, we're now past where we were for the whole year last year. So we are experiencing a heavy number of questions which continue to grow by all accounts. So we're mindful of the effect on the organisation and staff resourcing. We're looking at increasing and perfecting processes to make it as efficient as we possibly can, and also to increasing sort of better levels of communication to set better expectations across all requests as well. So the sort of the key areas we're looking at.
Done? You're happy? Right.
Thank you.
Tyler?
Kia ora, guys. My quick question's around current staff capacity. In your view, you guys can manage the workload at the moment. Would there be a point where you won't be able to manage the workload in terms of elected members' questions and the public's questions and Lagoimas?
Well, in short, yes. When I started in this role coming up 10 years ago, we used to do about 450 Lagoimas a year. This year, we're probably going to spike at about 1,600, which is sort of Auckland numbers. And that's not just from our perspective, because of most of the requests we deal with, we administer, and we deal with it to certain levels. I mean, our team spends a lot of hours on requests, but we also rely heavily on the big operational units who are dealing with most of the requests to put a lot of the information together as the subject matter experts. So it's from us from a gatekeeper perspective, but it's also within the organisation that it's felt as well.
Why do you think the community, I'm saying this in the nicest way possible, why do you think the community is so much more engaged in terms of questions rather than last year and the year before?
I think information's key. There's a greater awareness and knowledge in the community about getting information and quality information. And so that's got a knock-on effect across everyone. I mean, you probably would have felt that yourself, just the number of people asking you questions. So I think it's just a development in the world we live in, and not just us, but across the public sector.
Okay, it's good to know. Thanks so much.
No problem.
Sarah?
How do we treat requests that come in where you don't really have a real person's name? Because I'm aware that there's some of that kind of happens. You just treat it as if it was a real person anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, basically, there's no requirement for a name under the Lagoima. Like, we will respond as best we can, make an informed decision. If it's public information, then we'd release it to anyone anyway. We take that approach. If it's more personal information or sensitive, we might just try and have a more curated approach to it, balancing the act and the grounds that we need to.
Yeah, and excluding the media who will, request information, based on things they hear here. are there individuals within the community who are doing, a significant number?
Yes, there are certain individuals interested in various topics. It's fair to say. Some of those are personal, based on their own sort of sphere.
Right.
Others more sort of influenced by greater sort of issues such as transport in general and the like. So
Yeah.
quite motivated requesters there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other... sorry, yes, Aaron, that's right.
So obviously there's been a ramp up of certain sort of people that are putting in lots of requests. That's how these things come about. Is that list allowed to be published? Could I legoima that?
Well, you can. It could be information we hold, so it is discoverable. However, we do need to be careful of privacy primarily there. A lot of people will request issues specific to them. It could be about their own property. It could be about a neighbouring property. So we do need to be careful to treat everything on a case-by-case basis and ensure privacy is met.
Okay, then the other one is on a point that Sarah raised, which I didn't know, that a non-person, because one of the problems online is there's people, well, they've got a name and a profile picture of a cat or whatever. You don't know if they're real or not because they've got no friends in New Zealand. They've got 3 in Zimbabwe or something. So do they exist? Probably not. But they're allowed to legoima, or kind of any identity can legoima. Why?
Yes. Under the legoima, there's no restriction. So there's not even a restriction within New Zealand. I mean, people from overseas could technically put in information requests as well. We act in good faith and assume that they are real people and would respond as if they were.
Okay. I don't know if we can write to the appropriate ministers and just ask them to review that, because if it's burning holes in councils and government departments, people just asking just for dumb stuff, and it's burning up our system. Other government departments will be the same. No doubt some of it will be used to try and take down organisations or people. If you're going to do that, at least put your name to it. Say, hi, I'm Aaron Kewen, and I'm asking for this information about Sam McDonald. And it's me again. I'm asking about Sam. It's me again. But you should have to put your name to it, just like you should have to put your name to comments in the paper. Yeah.
Just to add to that, it's not many. It's not many examples of requests we'd find that would question the authenticity of the requester. The vast majority would be actual people.
Actual real people. Right. Okay. I just think it could become an alarming trend, and it can become dangerous as well, I think. So.
Okay, thanks. Sure, you do.
Well-
no, Sean, you do notice motions as well, don't you? Your department.
No, that's more governance. We receive them, but certainly, no, it's more the governance team that deal with those primarily, administer them.
All right, because I know that we got asked a question the other day about why we've got such a larger percentage of them than seems to be everyone else. And everyone's allowed to put them in. I've got no problem with that. But it seems to be that some people, and any count, I'm not picking anyone in particular, think that, if I do a notice motion, we'll get it risen to the top of the tree quicker and all that sort of thing. But I was just checking on some the other day, and we've had one in since Christmas time that has taken 80 hours for one notice motion for staff working on it. Now that's 2 weeks of that staff's life to working on a notice of motion. So we've just got to be we're as bad as the people doing the legoima stuff. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm not personally involved in a lot of the notice of motion, but to flip it to the legoima side, there are certain requests that, I've worked on requests that have taken hundreds of hours to complete.
How many hours, sorry?
Hundreds of hours.
Sure.
It just depends. Most of them are nowhere near that, but there are certain ones that will take 10, 20, 30 hours of staff time.
No, that's good. Okay, Mel.
Would it be possible when the information goes back out to whoever's requested it to actually say this has taken so many hours and cost blah, blah, blah? people may think twice.
We could, but if we triage it well at the front end and actually get it scoped well, we can go back to them at the start and say, this is going to take 20 hours to complete. It's a lot of staff time. Can you actually refine what you want? And we do try that as much as we can.
But we don't go to the point where we say, right, you get 5 hours or 10 hours free, and then the rest of it we charge you for. And we wouldn't get the money off them anyway.
Yeah, well, we do have a charging policy that we really invoke. We try and work with them, try and understand what they want, give them more of a refined quality answer instead of 500 emails, which doesn't usually help anyone, to actually give them the key information they need.
Okay, that's good. Right, moving right along. Aaron, and then we'll vote.
I would like us to get some information back, ironically, on the charging policy, because the building department charge you. You get an upfront meeting for an hour or whatever, so you've got a limit on how much you can get free off the council. And information costs the ratepayer money. And I think we should be looking at our charging policy. Yeah, it's all great. I'm happy that the information gets given out. But if some people are asking again and again and again and taking up hundreds of hours, I think there's a real expectation from the ratepayer, unless they've been wronged. If they've got a case where they've been wronged, that's different. So that an exemption could be made. But beyond that, I think once you've gone beyond your hour in a year, that's it. You start paying. It's unfair on the other ratepayers because it costs a lot of money and it costs a lot of staff time. And I think sometimes a conversation with an elected member or a senior staff member could get them to where they want to go a lot quicker than this malarkey that's now 400% higher than it was several years ago.
Okay, now the really last one, Sarah.
If we're going to ask for the information, I think we should work out whether we do want to ask for the information. Because if it's only a limited number of people doing that, I'd be really, really reluctant. And I know that some of the requests are really frustrating and people don't sometimes like the answer they get and then ask again. But I'd be really reluctant when there are lots of low-income people then who would have their access to information about things that happen in the council denied basically by a cost barrier when others can afford it. And I just think it as a fundamental principle that shouldn't be a barrier to access for information, which is different to like if you're building something and you're getting that service. So that would be my pushback on staff spending time getting you that information.
Okay, right. Moving right along. Great, no more question. No, any debate on this? Yeah, Sarah and Pauline, please. Yanni, question, your debate or question?
Yeah, just very quickly. I just wanted to acknowledge the work that staff are doing in this space, acknowledging that it does take time. But, one of the really significant things that we've done is just have a really good focus on increased transparency. And I do wonder if there's a link between doing more things in open and people wanting more information, which is ultimately, in my view, a good thing. So I just want to acknowledge and give credit to the team for the extraordinary amount of work they've done around opening up as much information as possible to the public, recognising the challenges that brings. But I do think when you look at the statistics in here, you can see that we are making a really good progress on being as open as possible with our community, and I think that's for the better.
Okay, so we've got a mover and seconder. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Thanks. That's carried. Brilliant. Stephen, sitting up the back there, mind your own business all this time.